When it comes to gaming, whether it's action, RPG, or simulation, staying in the action means being online. But in the offline world, you rep your fandom with merch. Will Critter Junction's e-commerce shop be able to handle their hype? Stay tuned to find out. Without any in-person conventions this year, Critter Junction players from around the world have begun to flood their site to purchase character cards, apparel, and other swag. Critter Junction has been testing App Engine Standard to run their new merchandise shop because App Engine autoscales their application across multiple instances to meet the demands of additional traffic. But during load testing, they used Cloud Trace to measure response latency, and they noticed a higher than usual latency when they used heavier concurrent requests to their service's HTTP endpoint. You see, pending latency is how long a request can be sitting in the queue before App Engine decides to spin up another instance. If all of your app instances are busy when a request arrives, the request will wait in a queue to be handled by the next available instance. As the load increases, this means requests are processed more slowly. App Engine will then start a new instance to help based on limits you set, like CPU utilization, throughput, and max concurrent requests of the current running instances. But what they didn't know is that App Engine also needs to load their app's code into a fresh instance when they redeploy a new version of their app and when maintenance and repairs of underlying infrastructure or physical hardware occur. Though cold starts on App Engine are rare, the first request or loading request sent to a new instance can take longer to be processed because the instance first has to load your app's code, including any libraries and resources needed to handle the request. This means a gradual increase in response times to handle new traffic. What you want instead is to get the initialization to happen sooner before a new instance serves live traffic. You can do this by using a warmup request, which loads application code into an instance ahead of time before any live requests reach it. App Engine attempts to detect when your app needs a new instance and initiates a warmup request to initialize it. Any new instances accept requests after they finish loading your app's code. New requests can then be handled faster. Warmup requests are used by the App Engine scheduler, which controls auto-scaling of instances based on your configuration. App Engine issues GET requests to warmup, and then you can implement handlers for this request in your code to perform application-specific tasks like pre-caching app data. For most supported languages, just add the warmup element under the inbound services directive in your app.yaml file. Then create a handler that will process requests that are sent to ah.warmup. Your handler should perform any warmup logic that is needed by your app. Let's walk through a Go example. Our function performs the required setup steps for the application to function, and it logs when an App Engine warmup request is used to create the new instance. These warmup steps happen in setup for consistency with cold start instances. Everything else remains the same. This setup function executes the per instance one-time warmup and initialization actions. Finally, the index handler responds to requests with our greeting. One thing to note is warmup requests don't work in all cases, despite the best effort attempt to send requests to already warmed up instances when enabled. So you might still face loading requests, like if the instance is the first one being started up, or if there's a steep ramp up in traffic. In these cases, you should use the resident instances, which you can learn about below. Once warmup requests were implemented, Critter Junction was able to reduce cold start instances during increases in traffic to their online shop once convention season was underway. Stickers for everyone. Check out the link below for language-specific steps on warmup requests, and stay tuned for what's next for Critter Junction. And remember, always be architecting.